All right, today is Sunday, July 15th. Good afternoon. We're in halftime when it comes to the World Cup. France versus Croatia in football. France is up 2-1, but I wanted to take some time out to go over some of the stock trades that I did this past week. And essentially just go over three trades that did not go as planned, and I lost. So, and the main reason why I lost is because I didn't cut the losses quickly or take my gains as quickly as I could have. Holding and hoping is really not a strategy. So hopefully through this education, this review over what happened during last week could be able to help you and inspire you to become a better trader on the market. So in reference to being a proficient trader, in reference to going over the losers and not just focusing on the things that you did right, I did write an article during the 4th of July weekend where I talked about essentially remembering the winners and ignoring the losers is a flawed strategy. And the main reason why I believe that is a flawed strategy is because you really don't learn. The learning process really begins when you have incurred a loss. When you have suffered something that was painful and you say, you know what, you don't want to go through that ever again. So you get the sense of learning, and then that allows your learning curve to actually get a lot smaller, right? Your learning curve doesn't widen out with the more losses or the more failed attempts at something. It gets smaller and smaller. With each loss, you learn something. You learn something more or learn something better, and it helps make your growth even much more expansive. So I figured that writing this article will not only help those who read it, but it'll also help me because I'm the one that's writing it, and I'm the one that's experiencing as well. And there are life experiences essentially that you will find in trading. Like trading does bring out the life in you, and it brings out the life that you probably did not know that you had, the things that you never really uncovered about yourself, and you will see it being tested when you trade on the stock market. So essentially I just go through study, practice, and faith. The studying part is really just studying the things that you need to do in order to be proficient, and then practicing those things to make sure that you are recognizing the things in order to be proficient, and then having the faith within yourself to be a proficient person. So now that you are implementing everything, you are deadlocked on in being sound in the decisions that you have made. So this is I believe it's a really good article. I'm still like a novice at most things, but I think that it can apply to all things in life. So anyway, I've babbled on about that. Let's go through the first trade, which is TGC. TGC was an oil play that ended up popping up on Tuesday. So Tuesday of last week. So what I'm doing is that now each chart that I go through, I will go through it on the day chart. So each candlestick will represent one day, and then I will go through different time frames to see how and what happened during that trade. So with TGC, like I said, it was an oil play. Oil has been moving, and it has been moving for since maybe mid-May, early May, and so it's been getting some traction. So I figured I wanted to get in on some of this traction, and the reason why is because when you have stocks that had a recent spike like this spike happened. Let me move this camera because I'm not really seeing. So when it has spikes like this, a spike like this actually is an indication that it has more spiking potential. So because it has more spiking potential, that was the reason why I ended up buying this on the 10th. So on the 10th, I bought it. Let me go through my notes real quick. Yep. So on the 10th, I bought this in the morning, thinking that it can go higher, and I actually bought it at 124, and it did go a little bit higher. So this is where I was saying that I would zoom in just a little bit more. Let me move this camera. Let's go back 5 days. Zoom out a bit. So 5 days, 2 minutes, right? So I end up buying it here on this Tuesday morning, actually like right around here. Um, and then it went up. It went up higher, and I really thought it was going to go ahead and continue to test the high that originally was at, which was in the twos, right, or 150. I really wanted to sell at 154. That was my target price, and I thought that this would be able to come and test this resistance line up here. It didn't. It fell back to essentially right where I bought it. So the next day, it just went right back down. Um, it could not hold its gains at all, even though pre-market and no, post-market, after hours, on that Tuesday, it did trade right around that 120, and even went as high as 126, which was the previous resistance area, 126, but just couldn't quite get there. And then on that Wednesday is where I sold, and I ended up selling it at 111. So I ended up selling it like right around here, just because it was not doing what I wanted. So I end up losing 13 cents a share, which is not bad. But the only thing that I found that I was doing here is that when I initially bought it, I bought it on the uptrend. And if we look, here on the RSI is an indicator that helps you identify if something is overbought or oversold. So it gives you that strength to understand which one is doing. And then the MACD just shows you this line, MACD, RSI. The MACD shows you, the momentum that the stock is going. The momentum, if the momentum is full of buyers or if it's full of sellers. So the momentum was strong, but the resistance was saying that it was overbought. And because it was overbought, it was eventually going to come back down. So the lesson here is that not to chase stocks when they are really starting to rip, really starting to move, really starting to go in the direction, and then just wait for it to pull back. Just wait for it to pull back and find some settling. So if I had waited, I could have bought in the 108s and then just waited until the end of the day where I could have sold at 120. 12 cents a share, that's not really what I look for. I look for, a dollar 50 a share. Each trade that I go into, I look for something, $1.50 and more, or $1 and more, on the trade. So, or per share on the trade. So that's what I'm looking for. So this is a lesson learned that, do not chase stocks. When people are buying, that's when you should be selling. When people are selling, that's when you should be looking to buy. And it's hard to buy when people are selling because you don't want it to drop further. There's this thing saying, catching a bloody knife, and that bloody knife, when it's falling and it continues to fall and it continues to fall, and you're looking to buy the bottom, that can be disastrous. So, there's always patience when it comes to the stock market. Just have the patience to be ready when it is time to buy. So this stock currently now is, back around the 120 area. Do I see this as a future play? Not really. The oil market is so unpredictable because OPEC leaders and stuff like that, they can come out with anything, and then Trump could say anything about oil prices, and then it start to really have a downturn or negative impact. But if it breaks 120, and then even 120, 125, 126, then possibly it could get to 145. So that's something that could possibly happen. It's not overbought on the day chart, and the momentum continues to go upward. So there is still some buying. There is still some buying available, but as you can tell, it's starting. The histogram bars are starting to come down a little bit. So right now, that's not something that I would put my money in and expect a return. But first green day, off of Friday, it could possibly do something. So that's not something that I would say that I would put my money into right now. The next, so I'm just I just leave it alone. So the next stock that I invested in was Depot Med. I think this one I think I held it as an overnight as well, and that's another thing I do like. Overnight plays feel like they're more better when it comes to not just buying the stock, but actually getting that high return. So the following day you could get $1.50 return from buying it the day before, and then you also don't get the waste a day trade. So I like that as well. So with Depot Med, they've been going back and forth with Purdue Pharmaceuticals or Purdue Pharma Company, and what they've been doing is having some of this like a legal battle, if you would say. So there's been some news saying that they are coming to terms with the legal battle. So I saw this spike, and this spike was a clear indication. The reason why it was a clear indication for me to have some interest in the stock. And the reason why I even end up buying it on the 11th. No, was it the 11th? Yeah, the 11th, sorry. I bought it on the 11th, and I ended up selling the very next day. And as you can tell by the day chart, this is what it did on the 11th. So it was the first green day. So when the mentality of me buying this stock essentially was because of this strong green candle. It had some pullback here, and then another strong green candle. Wasn't as strong as this, but it covers up all the selling that happened here. So because that engulfed it, I figured that, hey, we might have some more buying above this area, which it didn't happen. It actually stayed around the 840 area, and this was another stock that I chased, and I ended up buying it at 880. So if we will go back in the time, 5 days to 2 minutes per candlestick. This is the Tuesday, right? So on the Tuesday, hold on, I bought you. What day is this? always looking to get confused on the days. Okay, good. All right, I'm right. So this is the Wednesday. Sorry, not the Tuesday, the Wednesday. So the Wednesday I end up buying, and I end up buying it again, chasing it right around here, thinking, hey, I remember originally wanted to buy it at this resistance line that now became support, and then went back down to resistance, and now is it's not near the resistance line. But essentially I was looking around here in the 860s, wanting to buy in the 860s. I end up buying when it continued to go up, and if we look at these indicators right here, it shows you that, hey, this is starting to come down. The buying is starting to level out. It's overbought. It's starting to pull back. Maybe you should not buy this, right? But there's this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out, and I feared that. I was going to miss out on this stock. It's a pharmaceutical company. I love pharmaceutical companies. I love the healthcare sector altogether. I think the healthcare sector is probably one of the better places other than technology where you can be able to get exponential returns on your investment. So I like that a lot. But if I had waited, I could have done better, right? And so here, when it was at the 820s, and it broke out above 840, the 840 would definitely been a better place to buy. Because that's where the breakout was. But at the same time, I was not watching this stock. I was more looking and scanning for stocks. During a busy week, I had a really busy week, not just with work, but just in general. So it wasn't part of my normal plan, my normal routine. So because I didn't go with the grain on my plan, with my routine, this is why I end up losing 40 cents a share, 60 cents a share, 63 cents a share. I end up selling it back in the 820s the next day, right? I gave it a chance. It hit 863 a couple of times, so 1-2 times, and then it just collapsed, right? So this would have been a better time to sell. I could even sold it back here. I could even sold it around here. I could have sold it once it started going back and really not giving me the return that I wanted. I could have sold and I didn't. And because I didn't cut my losses quickly. I end up losing 63 cents a share. So, just because they had their target price raised to $10 and they were trading at 8.20 at the time, or a little bit above 8.20. And then they had the pending case that was finding some resolution with Purdue Pharma. I figured that these would have been catalysts to bring it a little bit higher. Definitely didn't happen. So it's okay. And now it's just one of those stocks that I've learned from. I'm anticipating it going back down. Therefore, I am not even interested in playing it. Only unless my scanner says something else. Is not a play that I would really want to have in my portfolio, right? And then now the last one, CGC. Yes, a weed stock. I do like playing weed stocks. Weed stocks have been, pretty good since the beginning of the year. But the main reason why I even picked this one, which is Canopy. Canopy is one of those stocks that really has some growth because of, Canadian regulations over marijuana. And I think that I probably got in a little bit too early, even though, I cut my losses and stuff like that. And, and the indicators, they told me one thing and I was ready to go at another thing as I'm looking at my notes to me. I really thought that it was going to continue to go towards the 30s, maybe even, 35. But it did not. And it just continued to me, I feel like it's going to continue to go bearish. I think it still has more selling to do before we get closer to October, because in October, that's when the, weed in Canada is really supposed to be, really big. It's supposed to be really, something that they would really, really like. So, something that's really good for their economy, essentially. So, in this play, what I ended up doing, I bought it the same day that I bought DEPO, and I sold it the same day. I sold DEPO because they both were giving me, not the same return, right? So what I want to show you is that how did I know that this would be this would continue to downturn, right? So when I bought it, and remember, this is each candlestick right here represents one day. When I bought it, it wasn't the 12th. I sold it on the 12th, I believe. Yeah, I bought it on the 11th, right? This was that Wednesday. Bought it on the 11th, green day. So first green day. Anytime a stock has its first green day, up 5%, up more than 5%, I should say. You kind of anticipate that there might be a better move. And because that there has been traction when it comes to news, right? They raise their target price, or the news of Canada just legalizing marijuana, and they're looking forward to October when their whole country can just be flourishing with green stuff all over their state, all over their country. You start to feed into the sentiment. And I fed into the sentiment. I fed into it thinking that, hey, this might actually have some room to grow and possibly, retest 30, which it did. It tested 30, just like I thought. I thought it would test 30, and it did. It got up to 30.66. So let's look at it. Right? Let's look at what it did. So in the pre-market, it got up to 30.66. I bought it on this day, right? I think I bought it at 29.80. 29.80. So that's like right around here. But I know I didn't buy it. Excuse me. Maybe I did buy it at the 10 p.m. time. Maybe I did buy it right around here, and then it dropped, but it did go up, right? I was anticipating this. I was anticipating this $30 run. I'm not 100% sure when I bought it. I could have bought it over here because I know I was chasing during the time, and I need to start writing down the time that I bought the stock, so I can be better at, letting you know when, when I bought or when I sold. But essentially, I bought it. Let's say, maybe like right around here or something, right? Essentially, I bought it. This is where it was on the day. It went as high as 29.80, so I know that's where I ended up buying around 29.80, right? So towards the end of the day, it came down and then it bounced up during the after hours and pre-market. So after hours is up, pre-market is up, market opens, it collapses, right? And it collapses, and I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna, come back. I'm giving it some time to really let the pattern evolve, let the chart evolve. But once it started hitting areas like right around here in the 30-20 area, 30-25, 30-30 area, that has become resistance, and I was not quick enough to recognize that that was resistance. So what happened is that it ended up started bouncing now, and it's doing this like bouncing ball effect where it came down, bounced up, came down, bounced up, and then really came down, bounced up. So once it started getting down to 2904, 2904, I guess that's when back down. I may keep losing hold. Oh, so I did hold it. I did hold it a day longer than I originally thought. Yep, I did hold it one more day longer. So I probably held it into that Thursday. No, okay. I may keep the position and hold for a bit, but the red day candle indicates lower movement for tomorrow. So I already knew. That because it was on a red candle day, the sentiment was getting lower and lower, that I had to sell it, and I sold it on the same day. Before, no, I sold it. Sorry, no, I didn't sell it on Friday. See, this is why I need to be more accurate with this one, because I don't believe I sold it on that Friday. I probably did. I think I did, because this is the only place where 2905 is. So I ended up selling it this Friday morning because, this was a red candle, and that red candle was only going to show a little bit more downtrend. So if we look on the day chart, once again, I know it's a little bit confusing, but this is the green candle. The green candle, it showed that it went up. It had some movement the next day, but it kind of just pulled right back down, and it pulled back down into Friday. So this red candle would show you or show us that, hey, this is down. This is having some downward momentum selling. The selling has not stopped, and the selling is only getting stronger. And I believe that on Monday that the selling will continue to get stronger. That it could possibly get down to $27, and if it does, hey, it does. But at the end of the day, technically reading the chart, and if once you're able to identify where the support line and the resistance line are, that's when you really should start investigating if it is a good buy or if it's a good sell. So with this, I know it's eventually will be a good buy, because these are, the momentum of the stock is red, but it is or is selling, but it is starting to decrease in the amount of selling. So it can possibly have some potential upside, not now, but maybe in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, there might be some uptrending above $30. So I wouldn't be surprised if heading into August, September, that this is a $30 stock again. But right now, like as far as coming into this upcoming week, I don't see it going past, this amount. I don't see it at all. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over these three losers that I had during the week. I did have some really good price action with some other stocks, but I wanted to focus on this one, on these. You know, when I say the other stocks like Roku, I end up buying Ruby, RUBI, end up buying, and PIXY end up buying, and these are stocks that I'll end up going over on Monday. But I wanted to go over these key stocks just because that they are doing. These are the ones that I did poorly on, and I wanted to see, you know, what it was that I did not see during that trade. So hopefully you would see it when you trade, and you know, it'll make you a better or a more proficient reader when it comes to technical analysis. So, you know, with that being said, this is everything. I just want to make sure that, you know, the upcoming trades is really good, and also, you know, when it comes to, you know, becoming better at anything, it's always good to take notes. You take notes on the things that you want to be more proficient. Yeah. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger wrote notes on weightlifting. He wrote notes on, you know, becoming a better bodybuilder. So if someone who is in bodybuilding will take notes and become a professional, you know, Mr. Universe, why could we not transfer those things into the areas of our lives that we are trying to become proficient at? So, you know, become proficient, take down notes, make better choices when it comes to the things that you are engaging in, and you too will be proficient in whatever it is. So, you know, this is right. You know, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, and then, you know, you'll succeed. You know, so it's all about practice, repetition, practice, repetition, practice, repetition. So, you know, have a great rest of your Sunday. I hope you enjoy the rest of FIFA or the World Cup. And, you know, I'll see you on the next video. And hopefully my next video will be a workout video. So I want to make sure that I'm showing you, you know, not just the stocks part, but the squatting part as well. So definitely enjoy. Take care.